Hello, my name is Ken Small. I'm with SSA Architecture in Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't usually do do-it-yourselfer type videos, but a question that comes up occasionally is about hardware and inexpensively wanting to lock something up, maybe temporarily, like a temporary door on a construction site, or maybe you live in an inexpensive rental a house or apartment where you're not sure if the neighbors that are the former tenant had turned in their key, or maybe the landlord just keeps issuing the same key to one tenant after another. And so you want an inexpensive lock to be able to secure the place when you're in it, or if you're leaving out another door. And so this is what I recommend. It's just two simple pieces of metal. They've been making these for many years, and I know they're made under a number of brands. And so this one just happens to be the same color as the door lock that's on the door that I'm installing it on. But the way it works is there's a little mechanism in there that when the smaller leaf is swung at 90 degrees, then it holds the door shut. And what's nice about this is it's not associated with any key. It's pretty hard for the mechanism to go bad because there's not much to it. And if you're worried about burglary or something like that, once you're inside your apartment and you close that for the night, no one is coming in. And then if you're worried about somebody breaking in, this can take a very strong kick or something like that quite a few times before it's going to give out. So if you look at this from the side, the distance between this face and the screw holes is very important. When you put this between the door and the frame, it attaches to the door frame, and so about the first ½ inch, about the width of my finger there, is going to be the thickness of drywall that's adjacent to your door. And so trying to attach to that is virtually useless. And then just a little ways back from that is where it has these screw holes. In my opinion, you could drill through a third screw hole here, and that would be better. But these screw holes in this plane are far enough back from the face of the door to where they can go through the frame and through the gap that's behind the frame that they usually use for shimming the door, and then actually hit a stud. So this comes with two grossly undersized screws. I'll show you in the photograph an inset, little tiny things that basically just barely will make it into the door frame and won't even come out the other side. So set those side by side with screws that are closer to the right size. I think the ones that it came with are about 5/8, and the ones that I'm installing it with are about 3/4. So the door frame itself is probably about 5/8 thickness, and then you've got a 1/4 inch gap plus or minus between that and the stud. So it's going to have to go all the way through that and into the stud to work. Otherwise, it's pointless. In the case of where I'm installing it now, there's been a lot of work done on the door frame over the years, and it's been structurally undermined quite a bit. So can't really rely on the lock set that looks very nice and has a key in it to hold the door shut if somebody were to really try to kick the door in to create a robbery or something like that. So let's take a look at the door itself. So I'm just holding it here temporarily with my finger. What you want to look at is if there's enough gap between the door and the frame for it to fit, and in this case there is. And if you've oversized the screws, you might have to need a little bit more space for screw heads, or you might want to open up the size of the holes that are drilled in it for screws. But the point is that there's enough room for it to fit in here. And if you look straight down from here, you can see that this round hinge portion is right up against the door frame itself. So this is the trim, this is the frame, and right up against the frame seems to work with this door. Your door may be different. If your door is thicker than your frame, then you may have to move it in or out like this or in like that. But in this case, this surface and that surface are almost aligned, and so pushing it right up there tight is going to work. So the necessary tools for this would be 2 drill bits, one large one that's about the size of the upper shank of the screw, and another one that's the size of the middle of the screw. And so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to place my screw holes. I've got the knuckle up against the frame, and I've marked my 2 circles where the holes are, and then I actually use the edge of the hinge itself to just mark a vertical line where the center of the hole is. And then I'm going to take the smaller of the 2 drill bits, and I'm going to go in a little bit to the inside of that center line, and that will push that knuckle back just the tiniest little bit. You don't want to go all the way in as far as you can. You want to go in far enough to where it almost is the length of the screw, but not the entire length of the screw. So maybe a 1/4 inch less than the length of the screw. And then once you've got those 2 holes, you can follow it with the larger diameter drill bit. So if you look at the screw sitting side by side with the 2 drill bits, you can see that this, being the larger drill bit, only needs to go in about 3/8 of an inch, just to make it a little bit easier to push that screw all the way in. Depending on what your door frame is made out of, it may not be necessary. This is a pine door frame, but it's old, so the pine has gotten hard. So then the last is the driver bit, which you really don't need. You could do it with a hand screwdriver if your hands are strong enough, but most people don't. And so the driver bit goes into the, and this is a pretty sophisticated device, which drill, but you really don't need that sophisticated of a drill to do it. Pretty much any do-it-yourselfer drill will function just fine for this. So first thing I do is just start the upper one so that it stays in place, and then I'm going to have to get another screw. So the bottom screw I usually screw in tightly first. So we'll just shove the lock all the way up against the door frame so that it stays in place, and then push in the lower screw. If you have trouble getting your screw to go in, you can put a little soap on it. That was not a problem. That's not a problem. Sometimes I'll strip these out with a drill so that they can't be removed, depending on what the security situation is. So if you felt like those screws went all the way in and caught the stud, which is about back here, then that's good enough. And if it's not, then you need a metal drill bit, and I would drill one more in the center, because you get a better purchase grab on the stud back in there from the 3rd screw. But this door frame has been undermined, as you can see here. So if we were relying on this and somebody kicked in the door, all you've got there is about a 3/8 of an inch of 45-year-old pine. And these kind of locks are prone to just fall apart when the door is kicked. So here I've installed 2 of these, one low and one high. And that should make it very, very hard to get the door to come apart on this side. Now that doesn't mean the door itself won't fail. That doesn't mean this frame won't fail. But if you're just relying on something like this, one kick will knock the door open something like this, even after the cover plate is put back in, probably one door will kick it open. But now the load of a door kick is spread between 4 different fasteners. So that's going to give you some time. Maybe it's time to run or time for the security people to hear multiple kicks. But it's definitely going to last a lot longer under extreme circumstances than if you just have this. So that's about all I have. These don't seem to come in different gauges or sizes. They feel pretty flimsy, but I've seen a demonstration where somebody tried to kick one of these, and this for a 250-pound person to kick it, or even these combined, probably just one kick and it's open. Adding this, they could be standing there kicking quite a while. So that would at least give you a chance to run if that's the circumstance. Or it would be a sufficient deterrent to somebody who's a burglar that if they have to stand there for a minute kicking the door, then somebody's going to get a chance to see them. Better go kick in a door that's easier to rob. So these are about $5 at most home centers. So my name is Ken Small. I'm an architect with SSA Architecture in Las Vegas, Nevada. 702-873-1718. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.